Hi, Mr. John again. I'm going to go through and do some quick knife safety with you guys. Basically, there's 8 simple principles for knife safety in accordance with the Whittling Chip that you're trying to get for the bear claws required achievement or adventure, and then just basic knife safety in total. So the 8 things that we have: first and foremost, a knife is a tool. Second of all, a knife should always be sharp or sharpened. Third, you want to make sure that the knife is always clean. The cleaner that you keep the knife, the safer it's going to be for you, meaning that it'll open, close, do what it needs to do. Whenever you're not using your knife, make sure that it's closed, not open. Once your knife is closed, make sure you put it away. So if you're done with it, you're done with your knife, put it into its sheath, put it into your scout box, put it wherever that you need to do it. If you're going through and doing any kind of cutting, the best situation to go through is to do small cuts. Easy does it. And then the last thing, which is probably the most important for what I feel, is a safety circle. You want to make sure that as you reach your knife all the way around you, 1 arm's length, that there's nobody that's within your cutting circle. I call it a blood circle because if you were to get too close, you're going to go through and obviously draw blood. So in this case, you want to make sure that your safety circle is in play at all times whenever you're using a knife. So first and foremost, let's start at the top, and I'll spend a little bit on each one of these. This is a knife. It's not a toy. This is a tool. You use it for a tool. Why? You're going through and you're shaping something with it. That's called whittling. You use this to cut something open. You use this to help to tear certain things. You can use it to field dress animals, fish, that type of stuff. So this is a tool. To go through and sharpen. I went through a little bit of sharpening before. You got a couple of different tools that are available. These are the most common style now, but these are set up where these are you simply want to be pulling your knife through the sharpener and make sure that you get all the way from the butt of the knife all the way through the tip. In the same situation, you want to be doing that nice and slow. Once you go through to test the knife to make sure that it's sharp, again, you simply want to go through, put it on your nail. It'll go through and it won't slide forward. If it slides forward, it's still too dull. So you can constantly see I'm wiping these off. I'm not running my fingers through it. I'm not running it towards my finger. Simply running my fingers to wipe the knife off once it's done. So that's where we go to where we're nice and sharp on our knives. So in this particular case, sharpening, very important. You want to make sure that they're clean. Like I said before, I'm always going through and cleaning, wiping. You can use light oils on knives because oil is good with the metals. It keeps it lubricated as well. Whenever you're not using your knife, it's either in its sheath, if it's a fixed blade knife, or if it is a lock back or some form of folding knife, you always want to make sure that the knife is closed. Keep the knife closed. You never want to go through and walk around with an open knife in your pocket. The reason you don't want to do an open knife in your pocket, first and foremost, as it's in there, it can jab you. Second of all, it can tear closed. Third of all, somebody can come and get close to you and you could go through and poke or stab them. So anytime you have your knife with you, you want to make sure it's either in your sheath protected or that it's closed in your pocket. Whenever you're not using a knife, you want to make sure that a knife is put away. As everyone's seen, a couple of wild animals that I have running around here. One is my dog Stella. Second is my daughter Jocelyn. I don't want them finding and grabbing a knife. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to use it, and they could get very hurt. So you want to close it and you want to put it away. Anytime you go through and you do any whittling, so Liam's been spending a lot of time going through and trying to whittle his square peg for his round hole. You just want to go through and you want to make just small cuts. Just little small cuts. And if you were to look at these small cuts that I'm doing, you'll see that they're basically they're round little scribbles. They almost look like pigtails. They're squirrely and kind of curled up. So you just want to make small little cuts, and as you can see, as I'm going through and I'm cutting, I'm turning this wood the whole time. I'm always cutting away from me. That's super, super important. So you want to make sure that you do that. When I was your age and I didn't know how to use a knife yet, I did go through and I cut my finger right here, and I still have the scar that I got 9 stitches in. So I want you guys to always be careful when you're using that. Part of the first aid that you guys have to go through with a cut is to wash it out, keep it clean. And if it gets real bad, like something like this, you got to wash it, keep it clean, and then obviously get it stitched. So that's not real cool. Small cuts, easy does it. That's where that starts. Last thing that I want to touch on, it's super, super important. The blood circle is obviously what's around with you. As you continue to use a knife, make sure that if somebody comes over to you, you stop using your knife. You don't want people too close when you're doing it. If you slip, you can obviously go through and cut somebody. It can be very dangerous, so you want to make sure that you keep your knife close to you. Make sure that your blood circle is intact. That would be safe. So those are basically the 8 tips that I have for you guys for knife safety. Please go through and make sure that your parents are always around. That's not on the knife safety list, but if you're going through and you're using your knife, my advice is that you always have your parents around, and don't carry a knife unless your parents are with you and or say that you can. So Mr. John, some knife safety tips and tricks, and some sharpening skills and a little bit of safety for first aid. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.